Greetings. This is Brother Eli. Welcome to Bible Truth Revealed. This channel is dedicated to exposing the lies of Christianity and revealing biblical truth. On this channel, we worship and serve the Most High God of Israel only. This teaching is entitled, Should We Fear Death? That is, should we fear death? It is often said that the only two things that are guaranteed in this life are death and taxes. Some people manage to evade their taxes, but none of us can escape death. Furthermore, some people are scared to death of death itself. In this teaching, we will explore the following questions. 1. Why do some people fear death? 2. Is the fear of death limited to certain groups of people? 3. Should we fear death? 4. How should we deal with the fear of death? And 5. What happens after death? But first, a disclaimer. If you are preoccupied with thoughts of death and have a desire to end your own life, this is not the teaching for you. I recommend that you stop the video and instead listen to my teaching about suicide. It is entitled, Dealing with Depression in the Bible. That is, dealing with depression in the Bible. Question 1. Why do some people fear death? On www.psychologytools.com, there's an article entitled, Learn About Death Anxiety. It says, worries about dying or losing a loved one are a normal part of life. But if your thoughts about death or dying are extremely distressing, time-consuming, or stop you from doing important things, you might be experiencing death anxiety. Death anxiety, or thanatophobia, is a common fear that anyone can experience. So death anxiety is a common fear that anyone can experience. Research suggests that up to 10% of people experience death anxiety, and around 3% have an intense fear of death. These concerns might relate to your own death, someone else's death, the process of dying, or what happens after death. So we can see that the fear of death is a normal part of life. We do not know for certain what exactly happens after death, and people are often afraid of the unknown. Therefore, it is normal to experience even a little fear of death from time to time. Question 2. Is the fear of death limited to certain groups of people? We can find the answer to this question in Ecclesiasticus chapter 40, verses 1 to 5. Ecclesiasticus is Sirach in the Apocrypha. I'm reading chapter 40, verses 1 to 5, and I will be reading from the Brenton Septuagint translation. It says, Great travail is created for every man, and an heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam, from the day that they go out of their mother's womb, till the day that they return to the mother of all things. Their imagination of things to come, and the day of death, trouble their thoughts, and cause fear of heart. Their thoughts about the day of their death causes fear of heart. From him that sitteth on a throne of glory, unto him that is humbled in earth and ashes. From him that weareth purple and a crown, unto him that is clothed with a linen frock. Wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death, fear of death, fear of death, and anger and strife, and in the time of rest upon his bed, his night's sleep, to change his knowledge. So it does not matter who you are not immune from the fear of death. Worries about dying or losing a loved one are a normal part of life. And whether you are the king on his throne or the pauper, you can experience the fear of death. Question number 3. Should we fear death? Ecclesiasticus chapter 41, verses 3 to 4. Again, this is Sirach in the Apocrypha. I'm reading chapter 41, verses 3 to 4, and it reads thus: Fear not the sentence of death. Again, fear not the sentence of death. This is the answer to the question, should we fear death? No, we must not fear the sentence of death. Remember them that have been before thee, and that come after thee. For this is the sentence of the Most High over all flesh. The Most High has decreed that all flesh, all the living must die. And why art thou against the pleasure of the Most High? Why are you against the will of the Most High? Why do you fear that which he has decreed? There is no inquisition in the grave, whether thou have lived 10 or 100 or 1,000 years. Death is the will or pleasure of the Most High. There's no point going against the will of the Most High. We cannot escape death. So it is better to accept the sentence of the Most High than to fear it. When we die, we are at rest. There is no good reason to fear death. Job chapter 14. I will read verses 1 to 2 and verse 5. That's Job chapter 14, verses 1 to 2 and verse 5. It says, For a mortal born of a woman is short-lived and full of wrath, or he falls like a flower that has bloomed, and he departs like a shadow, and cannot continue. Verse 5. If even his life should be but one day upon the earth, and his months are numbered by him, thou, meaning the Most High, has appointed him for a time, and he shall by no means exceed it. The Most High has appointed the time of our death, and we cannot exceed it. Rather than worrying about death, we must simply trust that the Most High knows best. He knows when it's time for us to go, and there's nothing we can do about it. To counteract the fear of death, some people have come up with fanciful ideas about what happens after death. One theory that is common among Hebrew Israelites is the doctrine of regeneration. This is a fallacious claim that when we die, we keep returning to the earth in different bodies, and that we have all been here before. For a thorough refutation of this false doctrine, please listen to my teaching entitled, Regeneration is a False Doctrine. That is, regeneration is a false doctrine. Question 4. How should we deal with the fear of death? We can read about how King David dealt with the fear of death in Psalm chapter 54, verses 5 to 6 and verse 9. That's Psalms chapter 54, verses 5 to 6 and verse 9 in the Septuagint, which is chapter 55, verses 4 to 8 in the KJV. It says, My heart was troubled within me, and the fear of death fell upon me. So King David dealt with the fear of death. Fear and trembling came upon me, and darkness covered me. Verse 9, I waited for him that should deliver me from distress of spirit and tempest. The fear of death is a distress of spirit. Let's get a better understanding of this expression, distress of spirit. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary, synonyms of distress are agony, anguish, sadness, and sorrow. King David experienced a great deal of agony, anguish, sadness, and sorrow in his spirit when faced with thoughts of his own death. His solution was to simply wait on the Most High. This means he trusted in the Most High. Psalm chapter 26 verse 14 in the Septuagint is found in chapter 27 in the KJV. So I'm reading Psalm chapter 26 verse 14, and it says, wait on the Most High. Be of good courage, and let thy heart be strengthened. Yea, wait on the Most High. King David waited on the Most High, and his heart was strengthened. He was comforted from the fear of death. In the same way, if we experience distress of spirit because of the fear of death, we should also wait on the Most High. When we put our trust in Him, He gives us comfort from the fear of death. Question 5. What happens after death? We are not meant to have details of this. The details of what happens after death is kept by the Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 29. Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 29 says, the secret things belong to the Most High, our God. But the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever. What is it that's revealed for us and our children? To do all the words of this law. We are supposed to keep the law, the commandments of the Most High. That's what we are supposed to be concerned about. We don't need to worry about the secret things such as what happens after death. What happens after death is a secret which belongs to the Most High. It's none of our business. Despite this, there are many accounts of people who claim to have died and returned to life with the secrets of what happens after death. Do not be fooled by deceptive hallucinations. For a proper understanding of this Luciferian deception, please listen to my teaching entitled The Near-Death Experience Deception. That is, the near-death experience deception. Regardless of this, what we do know is that when we die, we will know nothing. We can find this in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verses 5 to 6. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verses 5 to 6 says this. For the living will know that they shall die, but the dead know nothing. The dead know nothing. The dead know nothing. And there is no longer any reward to them, for their memory is lost. Also, their love and their hatred and their envy have now perished. They've completely lost their memory. They know nothing. Yea, there is no portion for them anymore forever in all that is done under the sun. Psalms chapter 145 verses 3 to 4. Psalms 145 in the Septuagint is chapter 146 in the KJV, and I'm reading verses 3 to 4. It says, "Trust not in princes, nor in the children of men, in whom there is no safety. His breath shall go forth, and he shall return to his earth." This is what happens when we die. Our breath leaves us, and our bodies are returned to the earth. In that day, meaning the day in which he dies, all his thoughts shall perish. This is another way of saying that he will know nothing. When we die, we will know nothing. Our thoughts will perish. This is nothing to be afraid of. This is how we know for a fact that our deceased ancestors can do nothing to guide us in this life. To learn more about this fact, please listen to my teaching entitled, "Can Our Ancestors Help Us?" That is, can our ancestors help us? And for those who experience anxiety when thinking about the death of a loved one, let's read Ecclesiasticus chapter 38, verse 23. Ecclesiasticus, again, is Sirach in the Apocrypha. I'm reading chapter 38, verse 23. It says, "When the dead is at rest, let his remembrance rest, and be comforted for him when his spirit is departed from him." We don't need to worry about our deceased loved ones. Their spirits are at rest. Death is simply rest. There's nothing to fear. We should be comforted when our loved ones are at rest. Finally, some people worry about torment after death, but if we are righteous, we have nothing to worry about. We can find assurance of this in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3, verses 1 to 5. "But the souls of the righteous." The righteous are those that serve the Most High only and keep his commandments. So again, "But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of the Most High, and there shall no torment touch them." If we are righteous, if our loved ones are righteous, we have nothing to worry about, because no torment shall touch us. In the sight of the unwise, they seemed to die, and their departure is taken for misery, and their going from us to be utter destruction. But they are in peace. There shall no torment touch them. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. Why immortality? Because if they are righteous, they will experience eternal life. And having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. Rewarded with what? Eternal life. For the Most High proved them and found them worthy for himself. To learn more about the reward of the righteous, please listen to my teaching entitled, "The Resurrection of the Righteous." That is, the resurrection of the righteous. In conclusion, the fear of death is a normal part of life because people tend to fear the unknown. Nevertheless, the Most High does not want us to fear death. It is simply a state of rest. When we put our trust in Him, He gives us comfort from the fear of death. But although death is a state of rest for all the Most High's creation, the Scriptures do speak of judgment. So, for the wicked and unrighteous, death is not the great escape. And with that I say, Salam.